Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Did the ODM party admit to the whole country that this broad-based government is nothing but a scam? Did they just admit that they rushed to it? Did they just admit that they didn't have the interest of Kenyans at heart? I'm asking this because yesterday, after the Central Committee meeting, the ODM told us something that caught my attention. Rigathi, before that, has been telling us that even the Nadco report was a scam and it is a fiasco. And he continues to warn the ODM, and especially Raila-Odinga, that William Ruto is not keen, is not in a hurry to implement the Nadco report because he kind of fears that he will create two centers of power.
When he brought Raila, nikamuliza huyu mzee umemuleta, asema bana, we are just managing this mzee, tumtafutie kitu kidogo ya kukula anyamaze. Alafu tumwambie kuna hii kitu ya report ya dialogue atoe, lakini it will go nowhere. I want to tell you, Raila Odinga, William Ruto told me that Nadco report will go nowhere. He's just conning you. And he has told Ichung'wa and company in parliament to delay it until the next election. So you are there waiting for Ruto to implement the Nadco report. There is nothing, he will not do it.
And he's telling Raila Odinga, jipange mapema. But you see, we always dismiss Rigathi. For example, I for once thought that Rigathi is just playing politics, especially when he says that, William Ruto told me. It's not true. It is not true that William Ruto told him, but it is true that William Ruto is not keen on the implementation of the Nadco report. You remember, one of the major things that were being discussed in the Kalonzo Kimani Chungwa-led Nadco committee was the cost of living. It was the major thing. Because when Raila got into this kind of vague arrangement, there was something that he had to put on the table for Kenyans to feel that something serious was happening. And one of the major things was electoral reforms, the cost of living and all that. They didn't agree on the cost of living. And that tells you that there was nothing serious. So after the Nadco report was swept under the carpet and they felt it was now water under the bridge, they came up with yet another something, the 10-point agenda that they signed in KICC. And they told us that this was very imperative because, it was at the height of the police brutality against Gen Zs. So Raila said, I wanted to help our Gen Zs, and I also wanted to help William Ruto and help Kenya because someone wanted to topple his government. So they, got into another arrangement, and the other day they signed a 10-point agenda. Now, what caught my attention is that Sifuna was telling us that yes, they signed something, but they didn't understand what they signed. Or rather, they now want to create up another committee. After signing an agreement in KICC, something that was so much hyped and people danced and Raila supporters were playing in water and swimming like children, then they come to us and they want to tell us that, we rushed into this thing and there was a loophole, that we didn't have a subcommittee to coordinate the implementation of what we talked about. Can you listen to Edwin Sifuna?
Number 2, that in order to expedite the implementation of the 10-point agenda of the MOU, ODM will constitute a technical team to work with our UDA counterparts as part of the political infrastructure to assist with the implementation of the agreement. the committee has identified the absence of such a technical committee, which is actually contained in the MOU, as the missing link in the implementation of the MOU.
You know, this is not only a joke, but it's also very serious. Because Raila told us that he had gone around and he made certain consultations. You remember after the AUC loss, we went round and some of us made noise that, oh, this was a mere formality. This decision had been made long time ago. So he went round and he told us that the ODM party gave him a clean bill of health. They gave him the green light to go ahead and sign a deal with William Ruto. So, and I believe, because I saw Paul Mwangi there as a lawyer, and they signed it. And they tell us now that they need a subcommittee. You know, I'm saying this is a big joke and it is a serious joke. And when you scrutinize the statements of the ODM, you'd be tempted to ask just 4 questions that I want us to interrogate. As we do that, please subscribe to our channel if you're watching us for the first time and click the notification bell. This will allow YouTube to notify you whenever we release a video like this, and please like and share our videos. Ladies and gentlemen, when you sign a deal, first of all, we need to understand that there was that Nadco report that never matured. And then you sign another deal and you tell us that Ruto's side must be pressured and we want to form a committee. What are the 4 questions that you'll be asking? What are your thoughts on this? Because matters, governance, are serious matters and we cannot joke around with them. Especially at a time when Kenyans are yearning for change. And Raila goes there as the champion of change. All of a sudden, they now want us to dialogue. Dialogue about the things they had signed in the Nadco report, or dialogue about the things they signed in KICC. And not only that, because it is not enough that they are demanding that we dialogue, but they're also demanding for a committee. Now, number 1, does it mean that William Ruto has refused to implement what they signed? And that means Rigathi Gachagua would be right. As I said, I don't believe that Ruto told Gachagua that I will not implement the reports and what we have signed, but I believe it is true that William Ruto maybe is not in a hurry to help implement what they talked about. Sifuna told us that before we signed this deal, we agreed, and the number 1, like in the Nadco, what they dangled to Kenyans was the cost of living. Now, in the 10-point agenda, what they dangled to us as a carrot was that they were to stop abductions and killings. So they never talked about the cost of living. I remember the government side told, Raila said that when we were campaigning, we knew how we would stabilize this economy. We had our agenda, the bottom-up economy, and so on this we cannot talk. Let the government implement their agenda. Now, what about stopping kidnappings and killing of our people? William Ruto has refused blatantly, and Raila is stranded, and Raila cannot come back to us and tell us that, William Ruto has refused, because he will be demeaning his stature, his political stature, and people will really look at him as a con man. So what does he do? He keeps pushing things that he knows very well are neither here nor there. So the number 1 thing is, maybe William Ruto has refused, because it is Raila who is pushing for dialogue. It is Raila who is pushing, I don't know, for the formation of a committee. Even when you look at things, ladies and gentlemen, if William Ruto does not want to implement what they agreed upon, how is forming a committee helpful on this? They say that 20 people can take a horse to a river, but 200 cannot force it to drink. We know that at the height of the battle, when police was killing the Azimio protest. The US, led by Delaware Senator Chris Coons, came to the country and they forced William Ruto and Raila Odinga to shake hands. But I don't think William Ruto was really interested. Maybe circumstances forced him. So even if you form a committee, if William Ruto is not interested, he won't. Number two, the ODM is admitting to us that they rushed in signing this deal. Because you cannot sign a deal with the lawyers who have been advising Raila. And of course, Raila was convincing them why he wanted this deal so badly. And then they failed to understand that we needed a committee. They rushed into it, begging the question, why would they rush? You know, you can only rush when there is something that has been dangled to you. There were some goodies. And when people feel that there were some personal fortunes, money must have exchanged hands. And of course, the cabinet, by the time Raila was signing this, they already had the so-called experts. There were some very serious benefits in it, meaning that they were not mindful of Kenyans, but they were going there for their own self-aggrandizement and benefits. Number three, they are taking us for granted. They just want to, waste our time. And the ODM is good in this. They will always come up with something to keep us busy, to keep us discussing. Right now, they now want us to talk about dialogue. They now want us to talk about this committee. If there is a time that Raila has lost it, it is on this one. By telling us that they are creating a committee to now go and engage William Samoei Ruto. Yet the two of them engaged and they involved their people. Then they're now telling us that they want to create a committee. These people are admitting that they are wasting our time. They just want us to keep guessing. It's to push through towards 2026. And that's why I always say that this broad-based government is never careful. They still feel that we are gullible, that they can lie to all the people all the time. Things have changed. I don't know whether there is anyone who is convinced that indeed the broad-based government needs a committee to help them implement. For example, if you agreed that you should stop killing, why do you need a committee to champion stopping killings of Gen Zs? Why? I remember after the Gen Z protest in 2024 last year, William Ruto called for a press conference and he himself told us about the austerity measures that he wanted to take. He did need a committee to implement that. And so I just want us to understand, I'm painting a picture of a government that is so confused, or one that really believes that they can hoodwink us all the time. And I want to submit to you very humbly that the broad-based government agreement was never about you and I. It was about one person with his families and his friends to get jobs. If William Ruto implements the BBI today, it will create two centers of power. I don't really believe that it will be Raila versus Ruto. My main suspicion is, I think what concerns Ruto is that, Raila is one person whom, whenever is given a space, he creates a very powerful office. So when you give him the position, the official opposition party, he'll become bigger than the deputy president and even Musalia Mudavadi. And I think that is why William Ruto is not in a hurry to implement this. He's not. Because Luos and the ODM members, once you give Raila a position, that will be the end of everything. Baba, His Excellency, and you write, I don't know, CGA, CGH, and you give him titles. You've seen the way they are managing ODM party. You try to oppose or question Raila, then you are told to exit. If they give him an office, Raila will be bigger than the DP and even the Prime Minister. And I think that is one thing that they don't want. Number two, this thing can lead to a referendum because they are like the creation of the position of an now legitimate Prime Minister. I think will need a referendum. If William Ruto dares Kenyans into a referendum today, that will be like a vote of no confidence because that referendum will be defeated in the morning. You know, people really want William Ruto in a ballot. And the earliest it comes, whichever way, they want to humiliate William Ruto. They want to show him, we can defeat you without the police killing us. Because when people go to the streets to express their disappointment with the government, they are killed. So if William Ruto dares, you will realize. And I think we're going to see this during the by-elections that are ahead. That is the time William Ruto will know that what goes around comes around, because what he did to Uhuru Kenyatta when UDA had just been created and there were by-elections, even some in Mount Kenya, William Ruto humiliated Uhuru Kenyatta, and that's the kind of humiliation that he will suffer. And I don't think he is in a hurry to implement the Nadco report or any other report that they have signed. He is also using this to keep the ODM, guessing, to keep them committed. So because when you want something, you get more committed than when you have found it. Because let me tell you, if there is an office that will be created, and I remember they had said that they don't want this office to be created as a result of a parliamentary amendment because the UDA will claim that we have given you. They want this to go for a referendum so that it is seen like it is Kenyans that have given that have given Raila this office. Once it has been created through a referendum, then Raila anaweza anza kutoa makucha yake aseme mimi niko hapa by virtue of the fact that nimepewa nguvu na wananchi, so I will speak, you can't gag me. And that's why I think that William Ruto is not in a hurry. So ladies and gentlemen, I listened to that statement, and together with Caleb Amisi, I agree. Why didn't they, appoint a committee before? We need to get serious sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, because this is just a big joke. Let them create that committee and let us see if there will be any difference. Because these old tactics, I think their time has come. We are dealing with a new generation, and whoever wants to deal with the new generation must stop all the lies, must stop all these theatrics, because they won't help. And I want to complete by saying, if you are still looking for a reason to make this government a one-term, I think that is reason enough. Hii broad-based government inafaa iende nyumbani. That's my take.